Hello everyone, welcome to MLAS 800, Learning Activity 11, and this is going to be our final lab. I'm jumping into our code here. For this lab, what we're going to do is build out that auto feeder. So we're going to build out that interactive auto generation conversation mechanism for our code. So for this lab, you'll want to get your Google Colab notebook set up, and then I've got session one lab. We're not going to run that, but session two lab, you're going to want to rerun this portion of your session. So when you pull it back up, you'll want to make sure that you run this one. I've already done a run, so these all went through fine, and I can test out. This is from our session 2 lab. I'm going to run this just to make sure. It's a good way to test to make sure that my session Python objects are still up and running. I am also going to come over here and make sure my RAM for my both system, GPU, and disk are all still available for me. And it looks like we're good to go. It's running a little slow. That's okay. As long as we get a clean execution off of explain the difference between nuclear fission and fusion, then we're in good shape. So I'm gonna assume that this is running okay. Let's see here. Yep, and we get a return, which means that our large language model is up and running, and that all of our libraries are properly installed within our runtime environment. So on the right-hand side for resources, um, just as a FYI, you can upgrade Google Colab if you want more compute power. I mean, it costs money to do that, but it works pretty good for us for just working with this stuff for free. But we got plenty of disk space. We've got 78 gigs of disk space. We've got 15 gigs of GPU memory, and 12 gigs of 13-ish gigs of system RAM for us to kind of play around with, which is plenty for what it is that we're doing here. Okay, so we'll keep this. We'll keep monitoring this. We'll just kind of up here in the we'll just keep managing or rather monitoring the icons up here to make sure there's no spikes. So that's all we need to do here. So just as a recap, you need to run do the pip install, and then run the Python library to pull in the um, Dolly LLM from Databricks, Hugging Face, and then once that goes, you can test it with this object. And once you have that, you're in good shape. We can actually, I believe we can just go ahead and close this out here, and then we can create a session 4 lab. But before I do that, let's just do a quick run through on this. Yeah, so I just wanted to make sure. How do you feel today? I just wanted to make sure the prompt mechanism still works. Looks like that uh, is working just fine. It's running the code. Oof! Look at here. It's so we got we got something back. I guess it's feeling a little rough. It said I feel sad. My dog passed away 2 weeks ago. I still remember the moment when she was taken from me. My world is broken and I feel so empty. That's kind of went dark pretty quick here. I wonder here, let just for kicks. Um we're just we're having a conversation with an LLM that's just giving us this response back here. So it's like, I am sorry to hear that. Is there anything I can do to cheer you up? Let's see. Let's see. We're just kind of goofing around here. Then we'll jump over. I'm intrigued as to what's going to happen here. Okay, so we got a response back. It said, "Thank you. It is so nice to hear that someone actually cares about what I go through. I suppose I could be grumpy for a week if that is what it takes to motivate me to improve my current situation." All right. Okay. So, well, hopefully it's not grumpy when we have ask it to have a conversation with itself about the meaning of life. That'll be interesting. So let's go ahead and stop this function. The large language model is still up and running, but this prompt is an interactive prompt. It just keeps running until we tell it to stop. So we're gonna turn it off. But uh, the res object is still up and running. And so which is this generate text here. Um, so we're gonna minimize this session 2 lab, and we're gonna create some text below, and we're gonna copy. Oops, I don't want to do that. We're gonna copy. We're gonna create text. Where's the text? Double click to enter. I want it to be down. Oh, I got two. Too many. Oops. This one. And this is going to be session 4 lab. And let's call this one creating creating auto feeder for Dolly. Creating conversation. That works. Yeah, we can. Yep. Okay. This is going to go down to session 4. We're going to create a code segment. And we're just going to start coding on this one. So we're going to import torch, and then from transformers, import pipeline. That's correct. From IPython dot display, import display, clear output, and import time. Actually, that is all correct. So that is everything that we need. Python. That's pretty cool. Okay, then we're going to generate text. And this is what's pretty just wicked. Even though we're building this out by hand, look at how much it's taking care of for me. So generate underscore text equal to pipeline, model equal Databricks. And so that's all correct. And so some of this is actually because it is pulling from code that we wrote earlier. So we're reusing some of the code. So if I just hit tab, it auto populates all that. And that is all correct. So, and then what we're going to do is create a conversation auto feeder for, sure, why not? That's a good comment. So, and we're going to create a function, and it's this going to be interactive prompt? Not really. We're gonna, because it's not the same. This isn't the same function that we had created earlier in the Jupyter notebook we've got here. This one's a little different. This is going to be self conversation, and we're not going to pass an argument into this right now. I don't think we're going to need to. Let me here. So we're going to say prompt, and then we're going to say, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's kind of true. Yeah, that's what we want. We do want this, but I want to start it off with a bang. Let's just go. What is the meaning of life? Question mark. And this is going to be the initial prompt. And then what we're going to do is clear Clear output, weight equal true. That's correct. So that's, I don't want this, not that. Yeah, okay. So clear underscore output weight equal true. Res equal to generate underscore text, which is correct. Prompt max equal length 100. That's fine. Display res. Display res. Sort of. Okay. Not quite there with that one. So we're going to do answer equal to res generated text. That's what we want. I don't want any of. I don't need any of this. Okay. Answer. Answer equal to res 0 generated underscore text. I am going to have a display. Display. F asterisk question prompt. That's correct. That's what I want. Question prompt display F answer answer. That all looks pretty good. Yep. Okay. I want to put a comment on here. Extract extract a question from the answer to continue the conversation. Okay. And then question end. I'm going to create a variable end equal to answer find. That's right. If question end does not equal to -1, I want it to be does not equal to -1. I want to prompt an answer. Whoop, that's what I'm doing. Yep, prompt equal answer. Close. I'm actually interested in prompt answer answer dot r find 0 question end +1. Oops, no. Question end. I think that's what I need. Let's double check. Answer r find. That looks good. Question end +1. Question end +1. Okay. So that's just building up our prompt variable here. And then else. And then here's where I'm going to have a prompt. Oops, not a prompt. Prompt. Else the prompt. Do you have any thoughts on that? All right. This is a fallback. Fallback. No question found. Okay. And then time sleep. I think that's here. Time sleep on the else block. Let's do 1 second's too short. Let's start it off with 4 seconds. And then interactive. It's correct. It had that correct. Interactive self-conversation. That's right. Okay. I think that's all we've got right here. Let's say execute the code. Execute the function. run the function. There you go. Interactive. Okay. This looks good. I think we're in good shape. I am gonna run this and see if it runs on the first go. If I didn't, hopefully I didn't make any mistakes. Let's open this up, see where our RAM's at. RAM's getting into the little bit of the funky territory here. It's going up. So GPU's looking good, but our system RAM's kind of getting into dangerous territory here. We're hitting red. We'll see if this calms down. Okay, and it's working. Oh, and you see, it came in and then it disappeared, and then but it's still running. So here now, there we go. So then now it had a question answer, and it's having a conversation with itself right now. It's running along. So this is good. It's working. It's working out great. So I believe there's a strong argument video games are art. So it's just having a dandy of a time at the moment. Let's see what it does next here. Okay, so there you go. Okay, yeah, interesting. So it's now completely autonomous at the moment. I'm not doing anything. It's having a conversation with itself, and it just keeps prompting back on it. Now, um, what I would like to do is, it's kind of hard to read right now because what it does is it throws out this and then it doesn't give me. I'd like to see kind of a narrative each time it runs through. So I'd like for it to uh, I want to use this code, build on it, and then take the interactive conversation we have here, and I want to have it append the output, and then take the output so that it's easier to read between the question and answer prompt that happens. Um, so let's go ahead and stop this. It's just going to keep going here, which is good. The fact that we've got this running on the first run through is pretty cool. And again, it makes the smart, intelligent the Gemini helping you out to it kind of turns you into a super coder when you have an AI to help not just analyze the code, but also so that it actually runs when you're typing it out, it's anticipating what you're going to do next, and it builds all that code out for you, which just dramatically reduces the time and the inaccuracies of typing out code because I've taught the coding and coding classes for years, and there's almost invariably always a bug, or you put a comma in the wrong place, or you incorrectly name a variable, and then the casing gets you in trouble. So it's kind of that it's really nice to have this as an assistant, a coding assistant, as it were. Okay, so I paused that, and now what we're going to do is we're going to create a new code block. So remember what I'd said is that we're going to use Gemini to help augment our code. So now that we've got this code written out, I'm going to generate the next block. What we're going to do is we're going to take the next block and we're going to take the prior code and create a beautified output that's an appended beautified output. So we're just going to talk to it. We're going to talk to Gemini to help us out on this. So just like we talk to a person. So now let's take the prior code and I want to let the inter interactive conversation to append on the output and uh, beautify the output what do I want to say? Such that the output is easy to read and separated out between prompts. Prompts. I misspelled something here. Separated. Okay. I think that's all I want to do. Or what we're going to ask Gemini to do. So it's going to go and look through this code up here, and then it's going to anticipate, estimate what it is that we want based on what we're asking it, and then we're going to say enter and then see what it does. Okay. So it grabbed our code from our Python libraries. Torch transformers, did it add anything extra? Torch transformers, nope. So it reused the library, so we didn't have to do anything there. Um, let's see. Subject code may be to a license. Sentiment analysis of online harassment towards women wrestlers. Interesting. Okay. So this is an interesting thing. Even though I asked it to generate some code, it went out, generated some code, and then promptly re-looked at this code and then analyzed it. And I guess it's close to what somebody else might have written. So it says may be subject to a license. So that's okay. We're not using it for, we're not, anything we're doing here, we're not using for making a profit on or trying to publish research. So we're okay to use this code. And so I do appreciate that it pops this kind of stuff up so you can kind of go check on it if you need to cite something properly or you need to so that you're being careful with other people's intellectual property, if in fact that's the case. I doubt it. With this one, if we went and looked at it, I bet you it's probably not the same, but it's always better to be safe than sorry. Okay, so this all looks good. Want to see the generate text. That's standard, right? That's boilerplate. Boilerplate to us anyway. It's the same thing with what we've been using. Def interactive. Okay, so this is a little different. It's using a while for loop. So in here we've got a while loop with a nested iteration of an if and an else within the while loop. So it made an adjustment here and put a while for turn in conversation history display turn. Extract a question from the answer to continue the conversation. Display turn history question end. Okay, that's all. This all looks fine. This is all no problem here. Prompts. Yep, that all looks good. And then sleep for 4. Interactive. Okay, so excuse me. So it looks like the biggest thing that got added, and I don't see a separator. So it did pretty good. I see a clear auto wait true, prompt length equal 100, answer equal res generated text. This all looks good, but I don't see an append that creates a separator between the conversations. Now, did I out such that the output is easy? And I did say separate. Okay, so let's go ahead and run this. I think we're good. I think this is going to run just fine. Isn't that cool though? Look, I mean, look at how amazing. You type it in like you're talking to someone, and then within less than 5 seconds, create some new code for you. So let's go ahead and run this, and then see what happens. We'll see what the output does. And we may need to up the, actually, I am going to suggest, let's let this run for a second. There's 2 things we're going to need to do, I believe. We'll need to create a separator, depending on what this output looks like. And let's increase the time and bump the time up to maybe 10 seconds. so we've got some time to look at it. So it looks like it's running. It looks like everything's okay. Yes, this looks good. Let's go take a look at our RAM. RAM usage is going up as it's spinning this up. Hopefully we don't go over 12.7. Our GPU RAM is at in the yellow. Oh, looks, and it appears to show some movement towards a execution. All right. Okay. So this is running. Yeah, and see what it did. So we need to let it run a couple times, and then on each run, this is just the way we've got this set up is we could actually dump this to a text file and append to a text file. That'd probably be the easiest way to, just for purposes of like to make it easy to read. But that's not bad. That looks pretty good. That's actually pretty good. We may not have to have the separator. Um, uh, yeah, we may not have to have a separator added. I'll probably put it in just for, yeah, this question answer, question answer. This looks nice. Okay. It's running a little too fast though. I can't, but it is appending. So it's currently just continuing to have a conversation with itself. This is cool. Okay. Let's pause this and then it's running, it's cranking. Yeah, look at that. All right. So let's stop and then let's add in 10 seconds. So in other words, it's gonna uh um it's gonna it's gonna sleep 10 seconds before it processes each loop. That's what we're gonna say it's doing. I do want to have I just want to add this in here. Append I want to append a separator. So times 30. 30. And this is just a separator line between the conversations. Um, between each question and answer, I wanted to add in these dashes. So separator. All right. I think that's all I want to do. Let's rerun this and then see what we get. And away we go. Resources look good. RAM's ticking back up a little bit. Um, let's go here. All right, and we're loading. We're on the load tensor step. All right, we're getting some output. All right, all right. Set module tensor to device. And should get an output here anytime. It's really thinking on it. Okay. All right, looks like we've got something. What is the meaning of life? The meaning of life is an interpretation based on to try and find the meaning of life is, and then now it's going to go through another run through. Okay. And then let's see what that does. Actually, now we'll see if I didn't spot it on the separator. We'll see if the separator actually helped. Yeah, actually that separator is nice. See, it creates a nice little clean. Um, yeah, and now it's gonna do it again. So I do like having that separator, and that's a little bit of a cleaner output. Um, and it is currently off and running. So I think we got that all figured out. Yeah, there we go. That's looking pretty cool. All right. Now I'm gonna let this run. It's just gonna keep running until I tell it to stop. That's it. That's all we got. That's our last lab. I'm gonna do a quick recap of everything that we've done on the lab side. We've had quite a few labs, and for an 8-week course, we've done quite a bit. And so we I'm gonna um, minimize every one of these here. We started off with a Python primer. This was earlier in the semester. We went through and built our Hello World. We, built out, just a high level what the differences are between uh, Python operators. We talked about Python control flow, and just a high level primer on Python, right? Then in our session 2 lab, we started to jump. We got right into it. Talked about Hugging Face and using the Dolly large language model, the 3B, the V2 3B, and then we did a pip install for our environment. We got familiar with Google Colab more. We got more familiar with our processing environment that we have, our virtual machine that's available for us to use for free, which is cool. Definitely really helpful. And then we worked on pulling the Python libraries in for Torch, the transformer, and then the large language model, actually pulling that in and creating a text pipeline. And then we ran all that. Everything's great. Then we tested out our large language model by asking it. This has been kind of our go-to, the difference between nuclear fission versus fusion. And then we took care of that, and then we created an interactive prompt that allows you to do prompting back and forth. And we also got into prompt engineering, right? From the lecture side, we did some prompt engineering and talked about the different prompt engineering styles and techniques. And that wrapped up kind of a lot of our um, session 2 labs and lectures. And then in our session 3 labs, we got into architecture expansion, right? We got into creating an API, working with JSON, and then checking out what that JSON output looks like, beautifying the API JSON format. We played around with that as well. But then we also created an API integration for the API JSON object, and that created this server uh, and an endpoint for us to interact with. We were able to successfully get that endpoint up and running, and we kind of ended there. We didn't bother interacting with the endpoint. That was kind of what my next step was going to be. That can be, something that is explored for you down the road. If you want to take this code and play around with getting the API up and running, and the endpoint rather, and then working that out, feel free to get that going. And if you've got uh, once you get that up and running, and if you do get it up and running, shoot me a video, and I'll include it in the next time we teach this course. Um, anyway, but we stopped here because I wanted to focus on creating this auto-feeding, auto self-referential conversational AI that I thought was just having a little bit of fun with this, right? So anyway, we also used Flask as an endpoint, which is common, um, and, um, and that wrapped up um, our our third our third lab. And then our fourth lab, that's when we got into kind of having some fun. Just let's build a. It's still we created a an auto feeder for Dolly, so a self-referential conversational chat bot. So we had turned it into having a conversation with itself and continuing to feed itself. And then we beautified it. We used Gemini to help us build out what we built and make it better, and it's still running. So that pretty much wraps up what we did. So, um, okay, uh, I don't think I've got anything else. This is our last lab. Um, and I hope you enjoyed it. That's all we're going to be doing from a coding perspective. This is the big takeaways that I want that I hope for everyone is that you get a feel and appreciation for, of course, machine learning, and we did that through the more modern large language models versus the um, older models. And and the autonomous systems portion of it, where we built endpoints, we kind of built a framework, an architecture around the large language model, and then created an autonomous system with itself to kind of satisfy that autonomous systems component of the learning outcomes. And as we um, as we progress towards the tail end of this course, the last couple of weeks, we'll kind of we'll go through and have a conversation around um, some reinforcement around different topics for both machine learning and autonomous systems. Okay, that's all I have for this lab. I appreciate it. Thank you, and I will see you next week.